Welcome to a story about love, fear, and hope, where one choice changes everything, and a quiet decision leads to an unexpected family, deep emotions, and a heart-warming journey. I never imagined my life would turn out like this, and I am not saying that with regret, only honesty, because sometimes life chooses a path for you when your heart is too tired to dream anymore. And that is where my story truly begins, in a quiet home filled with unspoken wishes and empty mornings where hope felt heavy instead of bright, because for many years I waited for love to grow naturally. I waited for someone to choose me without doubt. I waited for promises to stay instead of fade. But time moved faster than my prayers, and slowly I understood that love was not coming the way I once believed it would. Yet the desire to hold a child, to hear small footsteps, to feel a heartbeat close to mine, never left me, and that desire became stronger than fear, stronger than judgment, stronger than the voice that told me I should wait longer. So I made a choice that felt strange, but honest, a choice made from loneliness but also courage, and that choice was to hire a guy for a baby, not because I lacked feelings, but because I had too many and nowhere to place them. And when I tell people this story, they think it started with cold rules and paperwork, but it did not. It started with hope wrapped in fear, because even before meeting him, my hands shook and my heart questioned me, asking if this was strength or surrender. Yet I went forward because standing still hurt more than moving ahead. And when I first met him, there was no spark like stories promise. No dramatic moment, just calm, a deep quiet calm that felt safe. His voice was gentle, his eyes kind, and he spoke to me as if I mattered beyond the agreement, which surprised me because I expected distance. I expected clear lines, but instead I found respect, and we talked like two normal people. Happened to share an uncommon plan. We discussed rules and boundaries, health and timing, everything that could be written down and controlled. But feelings are never controlled. They grow in silence, and as days passed, our meetings became less about the plan and more about understanding. We talked about childhood memories, favorite songs, things that made us laugh for no reason. And even then I told myself this was temporary, that he was just a part of the process, not the future. Yet my heart began to learn his rhythm, his pauses, his soft smiles, and I started to feel something I refused to name because naming it would make it real. And reality scared me more than loneliness ever did. When the test finally showed a positive result, my breath caught in my chest and tears fell before I could stop them, because that moment was everything I had hoped for, a new life growing inside me, a promise that I would never be alone again. And when I told him, he smiled, but behind that smile was distance, the kind that reminds you of the agreement, the plan, the line that should not be crossed. And I understood, or at least I tried to, telling myself this happiness was enough, that love was not required. But days turned into weeks and weeks into months, and he checked on me more than necessary, asking how I felt, if I needed anything, and each message warmed me in ways I did not expect. I began to wait for his words, to feel calmer when I knew he was near, and when the baby moved, for the first time I felt a joy so deep it hurt, and without thinking I called him, and he came. He placed his hand where I guided him, and when he felt that tiny movement, his eyes filled with wonder, and something shifted between us, something honest and fragile. And after that moment, the space between us changed. We laughed more freely. We spoke longer, sometimes sitting in silence that felt full instead of empty. But fear followed closely behind, whispering that this was not part of the deal, that hearts break when plans change, and one evening I gathered the strength to push him away, telling him we needed distance, that emotions were becoming confusing, that this was supposed to be simple. And he respected my words even though I could see the pain in his eyes. And when he stepped back, my world felt smaller, quieter, heavier, and I missed him in ways that surprised me. Missed his presence, his calm, the way he made the weight feel lighter. Then one night everything happened too fast. Fear rushed in like a storm as pain took over, and I knew it was time. And in that moment of panic, I reached for the one person my heart trusted without question. And he answered. He stayed. He held my hand, he whispered strength into my fear. And when the baby cried for the first time, he cried too. And I saw something clear in his face, something real. And later, when the room grew quiet, he asked me if I still wanted him to leave. And for the first time, I did not hide. I did not protect myself with distance or rules. I told him the truth, that what started as a plan became love, that I was afraid, but I did not want to walk this path alone. And he smiled through tears and told me he never wanted to leave, that love does not follow contracts. And in that moment I understood that life sometimes gives you more than you ask for, that hope can rise from the most unexpected choices. And what began as a decision made from loneliness became a family built on honesty, courage, and quiet love. And today, when I look back, I no longer see fear or shame. I see strength. I see a heart that chose hope when it had every reason to close. And I see a story that was never about hiring a guy for a baby, but about finding love where I least expected it, and trusting it enough to let it stay. Thank you for staying until the end. May this story remind you that love can grow from unexpected places, and hope often finds us when we stop looking and start believing.